From the gateway to bourbon country in Louisville, Kentucky, welcome to the Firkin Podcast, where every drink tells a story. I'm Brian.
I'm Chris. What is going on, Brian?
Well, Chris, I'll tell you what, man. We've talked about this before. We used to talk about the capital of bourbon country, the gateway to bourbon country,
yes,
the heart of bourbon country.
Yeah, we had a quick argument of what we were going to say, but then I didn't want to get sued by like the mayor of Bardstown.
That's right, because today it's important. Because we have someone here from the actual capital of bourbon country.
All right. Who we got?
Well, today we have Dan Callaway from Bardstown Bourbon Company, VP of Product Development. Welcome to the show, Dan.
It's great to be here.
What's going on, buddy?
Awesome.
Oh, it's good. Just wrapped up the day at Bardstown and excited to be here.
Just drinking whiskey all day long?
A little bit Excel sheet thrown in between.
That's fun.
I've mixed some Excel sheets in bourbon before in my time.
Yeah.
You mean on bourbon?
On bourbon.
Like
with bourbon.
You were drunk?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Not during work hours. No. This
He probably has people at work listening to this, so he has to immediately make
this
sure.
This is when I'm working after hours, just in Excel, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
So as I always say, we are a drinking podcast, and we're starting off differently.
We are.
Okay.
And there's a reason we're starting off differently.
There is.
Because Dan is not only creator of all things whiskey, but he's a sommelier.
Look at this.
And we don't get to have, I love wine, absolutely love it. And we don't get to have a lot of guests who are just into, dark red cabs and stuff like that. So we thought, let's start with wine.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
this is a throwback. I'm going to have to dust off my skills.
it is a
here.
throwback.
All
And
right.
we didn't prep him, but he's going to, in so many ways, kind of lead us through it. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you mess up. The only person that knows is you.
That's funny.
Doesn't matter to us.
Yeah, so I started in music and did that for my career for about 10 years down in Louisiana in New Orleans. And then when I moved to Kentucky, I've always been into wine, spirits, and just transitioned into the somm lifestyle. So I got my certifications in Detroit and then the big one out in Colorado Springs, which includes opening the bottle, doing the champagne service while they pepper you with kind of geography questions.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, so it's a little
So
wild.
are you a level 1 somm?
2.
You're a level 2
Yeah.
somm.
Oh, yeah, that's where you get
Holy
the champagne. The
That's where
trivia.
that part. And
And then the blind tasting, where you have to taste the different wines, tell them the varietal, all that. Yeah.
So
Impressive.
you didn't decide to go after master?
I was studying for my advanced when I joined Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Really?
I was like, made a hard switch into
You ever
bourbon.
seen those movies?
I have.
Oh,
I was deep into the note cards, stacks of thousands of note cards. Whole plan was to get the masters and pursue a career in wine, and then found Bardstown Bourbon Company and made the switch.
Unreal, man.
You're in Kentucky. You're doing bourbon. Sorry.
Yeah, there's 2 master somms in Kentucky, and they're both incredible people.
Oh,
so,
yeah?
Yes,
Wow.
but I am so glad that I made the switch to bourbon. It's such a natural fit, and I couldn't be happier it ended up that way.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome. So let's start out with a bottle of wine.
All right, so you got
And
the
then we're
wine
gonna
key
go.
here.
I got your wine
There's
key.
a
I
wine
hope
key.
there wasn't like a special one there.
No. This is. Oh, you got a nice chill to it too.
Yeah.
That's 2
that's right.
points
I
there.
chilled it earlier,
So,
and then I took it out
present
a
it.
little bit just to make sure it wasn't too cold. I've always heard, and in my wine, is that in the United States we've always seemed to serve our whites a little too cold and our reds a little too warm.
Exactly that.
Interesting.
Right, should probably meet in the middle. It's fun, honestly, to drink your whites at room temperature just to see kind of the fruit notes come out.
Sure.
Mouthfeel, all that to me is better chilled down, but
Okay,
the
yeah.
nose changes so dramatically based on temperature. And if you chill down the whites too far, you're just going to lose a
Oh, it
lot
just
of the
kills it, yeah.
aromatics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what we actually have for him while he has opened this up, it is a 2016 Transcendent from Napa. Transcendent is the brand, Transcendent Cab from Napa, and it is from Black Stallion Winery, part of the
Awesome.
Delicato family wines.
Fantastic.
Friends over there in Delicato.
Yeah, we do have
Alright.
some friends over there in Delicato.
I try to get out to Napa once a year if I can.
Oh, yeah?
I love it out there, but
So are you still a true wine nerd too?
Just it's great for not working. Since I don't work in wine, I can just drink what I
Yeah.
like, and
It doesn't matter.
It's wonderful, and I don't have to
Barefoot
worry where
Moscato all day long.
cases of barefoot. No, but it's a different approach. But I'll always have such a.
It's a
soft
different
spot.
approach. You just get one, which I normally, if we're gonna have a guest, I like to use my big ass wine glass, which is like that Riedel glass behind there.
I see it.
And I know it has a special name in some way, but it fits a whole bottle of wine.
Deceptive.
It's important.
It will do a whole bottle of wine.
All right, I think we got this thing.
All
open.
right. So what? So you normally it's chilled. You open it. There's a presentation.
Sure. And you would pour to taste. So this is I would assume you were the host at this imaginary dinner table.
Sure.
So I'd pour you a little bit here.
Ooh.
Okay.
And you would just smell, not if you like it or not, you're just looking for off notes.
So
Which,
if I would just, Jesus
okay.
Christ.
if it smells like cardboard or wet newspaper, you could send
Don't
it
want to
back.
be dealing with that.
It
right?
does not.
It does not, so you're safe.
I'm,
So
not
then-
sending, I'm not sending the own wine that I brought back.
So then we would just go around the table. Technically, I'd go this way, but we can break the rules
All right.
for this podcast.
We are some rule breakers.
We are rule breakers.
Love the color on this one. Looks great. ABV.
So you've never had this before?
No.
Oh,
no,
cool.
Never
Very
have.
pretty.
And spilling all over here would not
Oh, man.
get you a,
So we
a
would have.
pass there.
So you would have lost. Like, can we take your
I don't
Somm
think
card
it would have
from
been
you?
a deal breaker.
Losing
It,
some,
it wouldn't have looked good.
Well,
Yeah. Cheers.
cheers.
All right.
Thank you, Dan, for coming.
Yeah. So that's Napa.
What you think?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Beautiful Napa.
Dark fruit. Awesome.
Oh, it's really, really dark fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't suck all the moisture out of your mouth either.
No, that's lighter tannins for what you might expect.
Yeah.
So I would say not a ton of new oak on here, which might give more tannins.
right.
But it's delicious, fruity, a more crushable Napa Cab than you might
Crushable, that's the-
normally see. Where
Yeah.
a lot of it you might need a big steak slabbing a cab.
Pretty expensive. Pretty expensive a bottle to crushable also.
Yeah, it's delicious.
You know, Dan, you might be on a different pay scale if those are crushable for you.
Okay, crushable is the wrong term. It's juicy.
I
How about
think
that?
that's right.
Awesome. So where was your first time, just keeping in the wine before we go into rest of your history, where's the first time that you got into wine? Like, was there a pour, or just one day you were just sitting there and was like, shit, this is awesome?
It's a great question. I've always enjoyed it, but I didn't always know what I was drinking. And I think I've gotten so lucky throughout my life. If it was music, wine, or bourbon, I've always had mentors. And I had such good mentors in Louisville with wine. It's just crazy.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, just people.
Who would have ever thought that you would say those words together? I had such good mentors in wine in Louisville, Kentucky.
No, there was this scene, a while back where Nulu was kind of coming. There was
That's
these
right,
farm
yeah.
to table restaurants, and there was just this wine scene of people that all they wanted to do was blind taste wine and think about flavor and talk about it. Everyone show up. We would do these evenings. Everyone shows up with their wine in a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
So you have 6 people,
Cool.
each bring one, and then you all blind each other and guess, and that became kind of our passion. And I had a history with it coming from Louisiana, but not the blind tasting and
Right.
camaraderie that I found up here. Guys, I should name Kim Brown, amazing. Michael Taylor, who's now with Southern. Pete Thompson, who's now at Old Town Wine and Spirits.
Right on.
Patrick Spalding, who's now with New Riff.
I know Patrick really.
Oh, you know
really
Pat?
well.
Okay,
I love
yeah.
Patrick. Yeah.
Just this cool crew of
Yeah.
people. Gordy from Old Town, just fun people that like to taste wine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is super, super cool.
Yeah.
So Louisiana.
Yeah, you were playing music down there?
Yeah, so I studied music. My entire family's musicians. My dad, my granddad, all entertainer musicians, and I thought that's what I'd do. So I went all through high school. I played French horn, did the big band camp thing.
Yeah.
Actually played with the Louisville Orchestra conductor Teddy Abrams. We were in the same
right.
quintet in high
Cool.
school, which is funny.
Wow.
And went to school in Cincinnati for French horn, and then started. Then went to LSU for grad school,
Okay.
and then from there joined the orchestra in New Orleans called the Louisiana Philharmonic. And
Amazing.
I was set, riding a bike around New Orleans, like happy. It was a time they were trying to do a lot of film music in New Orleans, so I'm on all these random
Right.
almost hit movies for like a
Almost
five.
hit movies.
Almost hit.
It's like 4 or 5 years they were trying. There's
It
like
was so close.
There's some like Sandra Bullock bombs that I'm on, and
There are a couple of those.
my claim to fame is The Campaign with Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
It
this.
opens with Taking Care of Business, played by a high school marching band. That's me layering all the instruments because the
Awesome.
guy in L.A. didn't want to do it. And so they called me, and they were like, could you miss more notes? Could you push in your slides more, make it
You're like,
sound
"Sure."
worse? Great. And then I was playing in this orchestra that would go to China doing movie music. This kind of strange, it's called the Hollywood Concert Orchestra, and you play like 4-minute clips of all the movies all around China. And I met my wife, who plays violin. She was in that orchestra. She lived in Louisville, so I would go drive for 12 hours.
All right.
You know, Saturday night, leave after a concert, drive up here, and I did that for a year. And then we got a house in Germantown in Louisville, and I moved
Said I don't
up.
have to make the drive anymore.
Yeah,
It's a lot less on gas. I have
That's
to spend.
right. Let's blend the sommelier with your French horn playing. Give me a few musical terminologies that you would use to describe this wine right here.
okay, that's great. You know, a lot of music, they're all in Italian and German,
Uh-huh.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's right.
Bold Forte would be strong, right? Cabernet is strong.
Oh, yeah.
Bold. But there was some. Oh man, it meant bells up in the orchestra, and that's
Bells
what.
up.
That's when you really go for it. You take your horn, you put it up.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see
Yeah,
what
your
you're saying.
bells up.
Yeah.
That would be this.
Bells
Ooh,
up.
Bells,
Bells
up.
I
up.
like it.
I like that.
Yeah,
Good one.
but it's kind of like rich, round,
Yeah.
spread out as well. But it's got so much going on. But at the end of the day, what I look for in everything is balance, and the finish on this is just it rings
great,
and it's
isn't it?
balanced.
Yeah.
And so it has so much flavor. But if I was describing this, I would more describe that the oak and the fruit are aligned and they go
okay.
together, right? It's same in bourbon, right? If something's too young, it's like a seesaw. The grain's too
Sure.
high, not balanced. This just, if you have a finish like that in anything, in wine, tequila, bourbon, you know you're onto something. It's so hard to do, and this one nails it.
Yeah, they brought. I had this bottle. I think the first time. I don't know, a few years back, an older vintage, and they poured it. I was like, "Oh, this is good."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
This is, and I really do like wine. I don't like sweet wines or anything like that. But
Right.
I
Something like this I'm into.
this
Yeah.
is a pretty damn good bottle.
Pretty crushable.
So it is pretty.
Okay, you're
Not
right.
it. Sure, Brian. I need to borrow like $150.
Yeah. No, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Just need a little bit of money. That's it.
How much crossover is there between that sommelier and the bourbon tasting in general, you know?
Yeah, a lot. It took me a while to adjust to bourbon, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I first got into it, I didn't understand it as well as I do now, as far as tasting it.
Yeah.
If you drink, 10 to 15% ABV all day, at first bourbon can be a lot, and you kind of have to learn to nose it at a distance for
shit.
once.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, like with wine, I can take
Yeah,
this
you can
thing.
stick
I can
your
just
nose
Oh,
right
you
there.
can practically
dive
snort
in.
it.
Right. And with bourbon, you've got to learn how to taper that ethanol and dive into the flavors. So it was just an adjustment period.
Yeah.
But now I'm so dialed in on bourbon that wine is, it's a little foreign sometimes.
Oh, really?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. I mean, me and my wife, we drink wine all that. That's kind of our dinner,
Sure.
our dinner go-to. But long story short, there's a lot of crossover, but the ethanol difference to me is really the adjustment.
I'm sure.
Do
it
you
is, yeah.
have a favorite varietal that you like to drink, like just varietal in general, or
Yeah.
you're open to a bunch of different types?
Open to a bunch of stuff. I think bury
Me
me
too.
with a bottle of white Burgundy and
Oh, yeah?
call it a day.
Right on.
That's it. You're in. What was your when you came over here? Okay, you moved over to Louisville. Did you get into the bar scene at first for
Yeah.
a little bit? Work the bar scene?
Yeah, I did. So I went to a restaurant on my wife's recommendation, Decca,
Hell
because
yeah, man.
she knew they had music shows there. So she's like, why don't you go talk to them? Because orchestras are lifetime positions. So you can't just move to a town and join their orchestra. They're like college, they're tenured, right?
Wow,
So
okay. Like
an
Supreme Court
orchestra might be
justices.
20 years
No
before
idea.
yeah.
No way.
You can't, it really could be 20 years before the next French horn job opens up
Yeah.
in Louisville.
Wow.
So yeah, you just don't. So you could freelance, but I didn't want to do that. So went to Decca, talked to them. They had the music thing, and started working there. And then within a year, I was, after a few months, I was running the beverage program. They have, in my opinion, especially at that time, the best wine list around. It was amazing. So took that over, and they had Harlan, they had Bond, amazing wine list, and took that over the beverage program, and then GM there. And then working at Decca, we used to get a lot of bourbon people coming in there. A tiny bourbon bar, but people wanted to have their bourbon showcase there. So I got to know a lot of the bourbon producers, but specifically Joe Heron, who founded Copper and Kings, has since sold it, but amazing individual, Joe. And he introduced me to the people starting Bardstown Bourbon Company. So originally came down to start their bar and their restaurant. Did that for a while, got going. And then when we opened our visitor center in 2019, hopped over to open the visitor center, which I think one of my favorite things I've ever been a part of is building that visitor center and hospitality program. But the entire time I was doing the tasting panels, I was working on the finishing. I just started doing the job of a blender.
Right.
And then by the time the job was
did you even know that that's what you were doing?
I think subconsciously I had that as a goal. I wanted to be that master blender. I wanted to be product development. I love setting up collaborations. So like the ability to be like, I want to do an Amar Nonino collaboration and actually do it it was cool. And then the opportunity came, the company got bigger. We purchased Green River, where I switched. Basically, we hired a new VP of hospitality, and I went 100% product development.
Wow.
And now we're just rolling.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, that's where I first met Dan, was at the beginning at the hospitality, right? When
exactly.
Okay.
Before the doors even opened. Came in while it was all still being constructed. First time I met him, seeing everything that was going on out there, I was like, this is going to be an awesome place.
Cool.
Like,
I mean,
a really cool place.
Yeah, it was insane. Like day 2 being down there, it was a team of just maybe 10 people total outside of running the distillery. And we had 400 bourbons we got between Fred Minnick and Bill Thomas of the Jack Rose. So the first people I'm interacting with in bourbon are Fred Minnick and Bill Thomas. And
That's
whiskey back to 1892.
Pretty good.
And you have this amazing library collection out there.
Yeah,
It's just
incredible.
unbelievable.
All open by the pour. And it's that legislation in 2017 where you could have a drink at a distillery.
Yeah.
And we just pounced on it. So sincerely, I was just right place, right time. I mean, it's crazy, the opportunity.
That's awesome, man.
I've had some pours from that library before.
There's some winners in there still.
Some damn good winners. And I'll tell you, Steve Nally came into the library, just was like showing us around one time, and they were like just going to grab a pour, and Steve was going to get something. Well, he just grabs a bottle of like 90s Makers. It comes up, and I'm like,
he would have distilled it.
Like,
How crazy.
really?
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, oh, it's just Maker's Mark. Like, normal. Nothing bad to say about Maker's Mark at all. But, I mean, I'm with Steve Nally in this, like, library that has all this whiskey in it, and he pulls this 90s Maker's bottle off. I'm like, it's Maker's Mark. This is the shit that people collect because it's Maker's Mark in the bottle. That is not regular Maker's Mark. It's not the stuff that you're used to. And I asked him what the difference was, and his only response was, all I can say is I don't make the stuff that's in the bottle now.
It's viscous, it's rich, it's thick on the palate.
So good.
Yeah. It's great. And I just love that about whiskey because you can capture that, specifically our vintage library, right? You can now drink something that's, standing next to Steve, that's a time capsule, essentially, something made 30 years ago, and you're sipping it with him. It's amazing.
Unreal. Like, you're sipping it with a guy that's been sitting in this bottle for 30, 40 years. Sitting with the guy that made it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like, that's a story.
That's something.
But yeah, Steve's another one of those mentors, right? He grew up next to Maker's Mark, rode his bike by the barrels. When he started, Maker's was doing, I think, 70 barrels in a week is what they were distilling.
Wow.
I think they do about 1,500 a day.
Yeah.
So he was employee number one, getting it off the ground. Pete Lofton, our founder, hired Steve it was actually his third distillery. So he did master distiller at Maker's Mark, then built Wyoming, left Wyoming, retired, and then we brought him out a second time.
Huh.
That's what I love about our Black Label Bottle and Bond, because it's a weeded recipe, and I feel like it's the recipe Steve kind of. It's his sign
his
off.
little baby.
Yeah.
His little baby.
We're actually ran it the next batch this week, so pretty cool to see it come off.
Freaking neat.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Awesome.
And we're going to go into some whiskey next.
That's right.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. At the Firkin Podcast, we like to explore the stories behind the drinks. We've done that throughout the first few episodes with a number of amazing guests, and we want to keep bringing great content to you. I want to encourage everyone to become a Firker at patreon.com/FirkinPodcast. Help support the show and make what we're doing possible. That's patreon.com/FirkinPodcast. Benefits include early access to shows, pre-sale tickets, cutting room floor content. Who could ask for more? Come make the show possible. That's patreon.com/FirkinPodcast.
And we're back with Dan Callaway, Bardstown Bourbon Company. We're still going to drink wine because we're not going to let the bottle go to waste, right, Dan?
No,
No
be
reason
a
for
shame.
that.
That's right.
Are you a firm believer in mixing your wine and spirits and everything like that? I don't care.
I don't care either. I love pairing it with food, honestly, and as the meal progresses, go with what matches.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just pulled this one from my bar to start with, and what do I have?
You've got Discovery Series number 8. So our Discovery Series is really that art of blending, taking all these disparate flavor profiles, putting them together where the final product is better than any of the individual pieces. So we're always exploring flavors, nuances. This really puts them together. 8, to me, is a cool one because it uses a strong amount of rye in the blend. So it uses bourbon, rye, but then it also has a really cool stave component, which gives it this beautiful vanilla spiced oak finish, which
Okay.
I really...
Nice.
This is one of my favorite things we've come out with. I'm
You
glad
got
you have it.
Big rye
Oh.
fans here, so
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty sure you brought me this.
Oh,
This
yeah,
come
you
out
can-
Last year. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Then I'm almost 100% sure you brought
Yeah.
this.
So,
you can smell that vanilla.
I
Yeah,
will say
vanilla.
that's the cool thing about having a friend that works at Bardstown Bourbon Company. I get to taste a lot of cool shit, man. Oh, it's so good.
yeah. So it's, I would say complete departure from wine, but the oak and vanilla are going to carry between these two.
And again, like you talked earlier, well balanced.
Yeah.
Like there's not so much oak flavor, anything like that. There's a good long lasting finish with almost a little bit of oak that's kind of lingering around in the back.
Exactly. And the cool thing I love, right? If we're about 3 things, end of the day, it's innovation, collaboration, and transparency. To me, the third one is the most important, right? This is an industry built on a lot of made-up stories.
That's true. Yeah.
What we do, it starts all glass looking in the still and really carries over to the packaging. So Discovery number 8 came out really the height of COVID. And so it's got, a little symbol on the side that'll take you to the website. You can see the complete breakdown. But on the label, it'll show you the mash bill, origin, percentage, everything that goes into this blend.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Very cool.
Right on.
So tell us about because you said collaboration, and tell us about the first collaboration that kind of Bardstown Bourbon Company kind of did. Like, where did the idea come from, saying, you know what, we're going to really try to focus on these collaboration ideas and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, the collaborative spirit was from the beginning, and we've kind of been this grand central station. If you come on any day, there could be 3 or 4 master distillers in having lunch. We're really neutral territory. Our back bar looks similar to yours in that it has all these brands.
Yeah.
But where we show it in our packaging is these finishing projects, taking our bourbon, putting it into a barrel that was used for another wine, beer, or spirit. And the thing I highlight with these, and we've done them with, Cognac, Armagnac, some of the largest brands in the world, craft brands that we're excited about, like Chateau de la Baude, is they're not financial agreements, right? There's no contract. I set up a Maranino through an Instagram message, right?
Wow,
And it's
look
just
at
like,
this.
I love this flavor. Let me send you some of our barrels. You send some of yours, and we'll just see what happens.
All right. Yeah.
So Foursquare Rum was our big one this year, but our first one was really Copper and Kings. It was a square, heavy bottle with a murder weapon of a cap.
I think I have one like downstairs. I think I was trying to go through and find it at some point. But yeah, you could kill somebody with it, dude.
It's crazy. When I joined, we were releasing those. Once we released them, anyone that came in the building would get a free pour because we had zero awareness of our
You're just
brand.
trying to please God taste it.
Right.
Right.
And just getting our brand out there, and now those bottles go for over 1,000. And
Amazing.
It's
Look
what
at
we
this.
used to just give away.
More disappointing than all mine.
Just let all that go.
Damn. Yeah, it's because you still have them on the bar there. Up like really, really high up.
Yeah, I need to get a ladder.
Oh, shit, man. Going before anybody's there. Like, what happened to that one bottle?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Just I think to kind of rewind right back to the beginnings of Bardstown Bourbon Company and just kind of give the audience a little bit of a brief history on how you guys came to be.
Sure. So the key thing for me is we could have built it anywhere. Could have been Miami, could have been San Francisco. Intentional decision to come to Kentucky, specifically Bardstown, the bourbon capital, right? There's 11 distilleries within 16 miles of Bardstown. So it was an intentional decision to be surrounded by all that history and then be a modern take. And modern is really those three things we talked about: innovation, collaboration, transparency. So our founder is Pete Lofton. He came from telecommunications, then actually owned the Versace mansion in Miami and was looking to buy. I know, amazing. And
Telecommunications buddy owned the Versace mansion because why not?
he left the he had $1 billion business at 28 years old. And he was buying barrels from MGP, and what he wanted to do was do Kentucky bourbon, but have the customization. Right? So the ability to decide your recipe, your yeast. So we built the most technically advanced distillery in the country with the ability to do custom bourbon. So it's not like you're just buying something off the rack.
Yeah.
Your yeast, your temperature, your barrel, all of that can be personalized. So we came out with working with incredible partners, say Jefferson's, High West, Bellmead, Kentucky Owl, and building custom whiskey for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we began to build our brand. So the first distillation was 2016.
Yep.
So September of 2016, our bourbon will turn 7 years old, the
Nice.
oldest. So, but we are still very much in the beginning of our runway right
You're
now.
just like a baby in the bourbon world.
Still a baby.
Yeah,
Still a baby.
in the bourbon
But we've
world.
got big boy aspirations.
You would not believe that walking around their building.
But 14 rick houses on site. We just purchased 300 acres to build more rick houses. We're going to have our own water supply, 2 lakes.
Wow.
Maybe have some cabins over there, just a full
Oh, yeah?
campus. Yeah.
Nice.
Bottling opened 2019, so we now go 100% grain to glass right on site. And then the coolest thing we've done is about a year ago, in 2022, we purchased Green River Distillery in Owensboro, Kentucky.
I did hear a little something about
the
that.
10th registered distillery, so DSPKY 10.
Yep.
Bam,
And
right
you've got a
there.
bottle on your bar right there.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
coolest stories in bourbon, but also authentic, grain to glass, everything on site in Owensboro.
Phenomenal whiskey. And here's the thing. I think we
Absolutely.
talked about it not long ago. Price was amazing when it entered
Yeah.
the market. Like that's,
Absolutely.
it grasped people. So not only did you have great whiskey in there, it came out at a phenomenal price, and you guys have been able to hold that.
Exactly. We're keeping that price. It's $34.99 for a bourbon, a wheated bourbon. We've got some great expressions coming out soon to round out that profile.
Nice.
Working on the national launch of it right now. This, to me, Green River is the best kept secret in bourbon. Right
Yeah.
now.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think when that came out, and price means so much today.
Yeah.
And to put a high end whiskey out at $34.
Yeah. And with that, with Bardstown, we started with only one still. So our most common question is, why can't I get the Origin series, the 100% estate distilled? It's because we were small when we started. There's not a ton of it.
But like 8 barrels, dude. That's all we got.
But stay tuned as we go, and grow, we will get our products more readily available.
Yeah.
Our white label bourbon recently won Bourbon of the Year, International Wine and Spirits Competition. #1 competition was the highest scoring bourbon. That one is $44.99, which is just an
That's awesome.
awesome
dude.
price
Yeah.
point. And it's going to become, we just finished another batch. And then as we move forward, we'll have more product coming.
All right.
Yeah.
Dude, how excited are you right now?
I love it. I mean, I think a Bardstown is really and Green River, the coolest space in spirits right now. It's in this juxtaposition where we're well funded from Pritzker Private Capital, who purchased us, but still very much an independent spirit. And it's once you get to a certain size in bourbon, you lose that independent spirit, and
I can
we've
see
been
that,
able
yeah.
to maintain
Yeah.
it. Right?
And is that capital company still kind of letting you kind of do your thing?
100%.
That's
They're
cool.
not trying to
Right.
flip it. They've made it very clear. They see it as a long-term investment. They are incredibly savvy financial individuals. they just want to let us make great whiskey and go. And if we want to build a lake, they're there to
There you
support
go.
it.
They're
So
like,
it's,
well, you know what you're doing. You tell us.
exactly. It's this weird intersection, a beautiful intersection between financial backing and freedom.
Yeah.
We're hitting right now, and it's just enabling this kind of rocket ship growth.
Well,
You know,
that's exactly
Brian, when
where
I
you want
used
to be.
to drive out there for the very first time, I think it was right its corn was at its peak, probably close to harvesting time, and all the fields in front just pretty much grew corn. So when I was invited to come out before it opened, you had to practically drive through a field of corn,
Yeah.
and I'm like, where the fuck am I going?
I know. And then it opened up this big surprise.
Open
in
up
the
this
building.
huge, beautiful surprise. But anybody ever told to go out there, I was like, look, I promise
You're
you,
gonna feel
you're
weird.
gonna find a distillery. Just keep going. It's
Yeah.
and it's only a couple curves. It's okay.
I want to replant the corn because there's rick houses now where that
Yes.
corn.
Oh,
was.
really?
But I
Okay,
really
yeah.
want to replant the corn just on the sides
Just
to
to
just
get-
give it.
yeah.
It was such a cool experience
It
to come
was.
around that turn.
Because you're in the country, in the middle of
Right.
nowhere. I mean, we're born and raised in Kentucky.
Yeah.
We get it. But for anybody that's coming out that has no idea, like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, take a turn. And you're like, there's no fucking way. There's shit tons of corn. Like, there's no way there's a distillery.
So
We're in the
cool.
wrong area.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I came down, it was still basically a cornfield
Yeah.
with a empty big building with one still running, and to see where it's gone, it's just incredible.
That's awesome.
And I would be remiss not to mention our leadership. I think the number one reason we are where we are is our CEO, Mark Irwin. I mean, if anyone that's met him, former commander of Delta Force Special Operations, JSOC, Joint Special Operations
Hello.
Command.
He looks, no joke, he looks like a G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
Like, you just meet him and you're like, oh, is that what G.I. Joe was sculptured off of? You?
and it's just, I mean, it's amazing.
That's
you talk
cool.
about,
Hell of a nice
Just-
guy.
and just a leader, right?
Yes.
A born leader. So it's like, okay, I'm following you. You're, let's go. It's
Yeah,
like,
man.
So that I think
He
that's
gets the
made all
buy-in
difference.
from the team, and
Yeah, we have about
going there.
300 plus employees now. If you don't have a strong leader, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So that's made just a tremendous impact from taking it from a craft size to a massive size.
Mm-hmm.
With the culture we have now, is I give him all the credit.
Yeah. So, Bardstown,
Yeah,
it's basically the next town down from Louisville, right? So you got a lot of people coming into Louisville to check out the Bourbon Trail and, do some bourbon tourism. What have you seen in Bardstown as far as tourism over the last few years, and what's that looking like?
Great
it's
question.
exploding. It's exploding.
Yeah.
It really, real time. If you want to see, they call it the napification of Bardstown, but it's happening. It started with our restaurant and bar. From there, we've seen an incredible restaurant at Willett. You've seen Jim Beam's restaurant. Heaven Hill is going to get theirs rolling soon. You've seen
Log Still straight down the
Log
street
Still
with
with the
frickin'
music.
amphitheater.
You've got Bardstown Motor Lodge with Toogie's Table. You've got all kinds of hotels. The Harrison Smith House is flipping. You've got Newman Miller, one of the best chefs in Kentucky. He's opening his new cocktail bar, Mr. Tubbs, right downtown.
Nice.
Kentucky Bourbon Festival. I serve on the board of Kentucky Bourbon Festival. They're exploding. It's just happening, and
Yeah.
it's benefiting all of Kentucky. And we believe in Louisville too.
Right.
We're opening our Louisville home place in just a couple months.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Right.
you are.
Right down there, right by Michter's Louisville Slugger Science Center. That part of Main Street to me
So
is
awesome.
it's gonna blow up.
Oh, yeah.
That area is gonna
Yeah.
be hard to leave, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Same
All
block
of
as
the
21C.
hotels, yeah. All
Right.
the hotels are right there. Everything is walking distance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fun weekend trip. Somebody told me, and I think we talked about this with Greg Fisher, that this year, Louisville, Kentucky was one of the top 10 search cities on Airbnb.
That's right.
No, it was
in
number
the
one.
world. Was it
was
number one?
Well, for U.S., it was
Top
Louisville
spot.
was the number one summer destination this year
Could
for
you
Airbnb.
ever believe that?
Isn't that crazy?
How cool is that?
Who would have? If you would have told me that 5 years ago, you're
Yeah.
fucking nuts.
Yeah, there's
Well,
no way.
And it's not the horses. It's
That's
No,
right.
I agree. It's
Because
not
that's
the
like a little
horses.
bump in May. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you get to see a lot of great stuff, but man, people are coming for I think two cool reasons, which is whiskey, bourbon, our beverage industry in general, and then all together, food. Like food has
Yeah.
become amazing here with the incredible, like Anthony Lamas, like
Yeah.
unbelievable chef.
It's great. And what I love about Louisville that I tell people, and Bardstown too, just really specific focus on the independent great restaurants.
Yeah.
Look at Mayan Cafe, right? Our favorite.
Oh,
There's just
so good.
so many wonderful
Right.
independent restaurants. It's like a foodie's dream. So it's becoming this destination, and Bardstown specifically is just somewhere special right now. And, you know, I'm very curious when it'll happen, but I'm pretty sure it will, where like we went into Louisville for our tasting room. The law, you know, you're allowed one spot as a distillery. I'm waiting to see which large distillery comes into Bardstown.
That's
you
right.
know? And that to me will be the
there's a
sign
good
off.
chance, man.
That'll be
Right.
pretty cool.
That'll
yeah.
really be like, wow, Bardstown is this destination.
The drive from the airport down to Bardstown, what is that?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Not
Yeah.
bad. So if somebody flies into Louisville, maybe they just take a trip down to Bardstown real quick,
Yeah.
stay a couple of days.
Always recommend Mint Julep to
Mint Julep
partner
was
with
awesome.
them. Always do it right. Get someone to drive you around. The worst thing you can do is be driving yourself to 6 Distill. Please do not do that.
Also, here's the thing: very few of these distilleries, no matter what you think about Louisville, Kentucky, or Kentucky in general, a lot of these distilleries aren't close.
No.
Like,
No.
That is a misconception. People think you can go to Bardstown and I'll just walk.
I'll just hit all the
Yeah.
distilleries. No, you won't. Maker's Mark's 35 minutes away on a one-lane
Yeah.
street.
It's so easy that if you just call Mint Julep, they will literally set your entire itinerary for
I
you.
love it.
If you've got your buddies, you can get a bus. If you're just with your spouse, they can get you whatever.
And if you don't know anybody here, or you aren't familiar with the area, there is no way you can plan out your day.
No.
It's almost impossible.
And they know how long the tours take. They can tell you. They can just build your itinerary. It's so easy. Just call them.
So if
They're
you're coming
fun.
out here,
Yeah.
hit up Mint Julep and let's work out these itineraries.
Totally.
That's right.
You know, they started that business, just them driving. And then during COVID, it was pretty much them. Sean Higgins, the owner, is driving the bus down to Bardstown.
Oh, really?
I gotcha. So we have to take a break, but when we come back for our break,
This is
we're
gonna
gonna
be
do
fun.
something fun.
Love it.
We have a brand new kind of sponsor for our podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure
and,
people on YouTube have been saying, "What is this weird ass thing in the middle of the
why
table?"
is this weird contraption just sitting in the table, and why did these guys have it?
Well, we're
Which-
about to show you.
Great question all across. We're going to show you right when we come back, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the school machine.
That's right. We'll be right back. Hey, listener, thanks for tuning in. I just want to jump in here real quick and remind you to go check out our website at firkinpodcast.com and make sure that you subscribe on your podcast platform, whether it be Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and rate and review us. It just helps us kind of get the algorithm going and get out there to more listeners. And please share us with a friend. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, I'm sure you have a friend that's going to enjoy it just the same, and we'd like you to share that along. So thanks for listening, and we'll get back to the episode.
We are back with Dan. What's up, Dan?
We are back.
Great. I'm ready to see this machine.
Yeah, so
The beast.
before we get like too into it, I'm going to explain it just a little bit. So this is the GE Monogram Forge. So it uses Kentucky straight ice, which we actually have here. We kind of opened this up. We got Kentucky straight ice to give us a few ice cubes here.
right.
So what you want to do is you want to take this ice and we want to actually just open it up and kind of let it temper for about 3 to 5 minutes. If not, you'll go through and just crack. Biggest reasons we've talked before with Greg Fisher, and you know this during being hospitality and bartender, ice matters.
Yes.
Ice fully matters.
Yes.
That's right.
To no matter what you're drinking.
Yeah. It really does. Sometimes different tap water, right? We're kind of blessed
Yes.
in Louisville with some beautiful tap
Right.
water.
That's not the same everywhere, as you know.
Really, I mean, water can have a distinct flavor. You don't think
Yes,
about
it
it, but if
can,
you're
right.
if you have some funky water, you make ice.
And think about it, if you're in like a cocktail competition or something like that,
yeah.
that could lose you thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and we've worked with Rich Fink at Kentucky Straight Ice from the beginning with our old fashioned program. I visited him back in 2018 when it was just him sawing it up.
Sawing ice out.
And I've been such a fan of what he's created.
And
so.
you guys use Kentucky
Yeah.
ice at Bardstown,
For our
right?
barrel-aged old-fashioned program, which to my knowledge is one of the largest in the country, or if not the world.
Delicious, by the way.
Yeah, we age them in barrels in our rick houses.
Nice.
And so it's
Cool.
these beautiful profiles in a barrel, empty it, and we always use Kentucky Straight Ice when we
Hell
pour
yeah.
it.
Freaking love it.
Yep.
So what we got here, this monogram, it's a heated ice press.
Sure
So
is.
lots of weight. It gets, as you kind of felt earlier, it gets really, really hot here at the bottom. So what we do is you plug it in, you turn it on, and we wait just a few minutes or so for it to get really, really hot. About perfect time for ice to get kind of tempered here. So I'm not going to do this because I want everyone here at home. Dan, you've never seen this machine.
Never.
You know nothing about the machine,
Nothing.
nothing at all. And I'm going to turn it a little bit to you to make life a little
pretty
easier.
Okay.
cool,
Okay, I'm a
man.
little nervous.
So no, there's no problem. I mean, you can like explode the whole area. You remember that fire at Heaven Hill? It could be here.
Whatever happens.
Fuel right behind
It'll
us.
just be a good story, you know?
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your little ice tongs there,
Okay.
and you're gonna pick that up
From the north?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lift that up,
Lift the top.
all the way up.
Just a little bit, and it'll come.
Yeah,
there you
and it'll come
go.
out if it does. No
Now
worries
look
about
at
it.
that.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of center that over the hole,
Dun,
just the
dun,
best that you
dun.
can. And you can touch it with your hands. You're gonna be the one
Okay.
drinking it. And then what you're gonna do is gonna put that back in there.
And then just, drop
Yeah,
that
and
down.
just go
on
through
the
and drop it
Okay.
down.
All
That's
right.
it.
Here we go.
I am
And-
so ready for this.
Look at this.
We're just gonna sit here. So it takes 60 seconds. We took clear ice, and what it does is it's gonna go through. And once you learn a little bit too of exactly like the right little angle, and this thing just goes great. Also, as it's going through and it's making our beautiful, beautiful ice here, it actually goes through. It drips all the stuff that it's melting in the bottom. It will make
Wow.
9 ice cubes before it has to be dumped at all.
So where did you see this? How
So-
did you get onto it?
Yeah, no shit, right? So
Yeah.
I work with Bourbon and Beyond, as everybody knows, and they're a host of one of the stages. And they called me and like, I host the Bourbon stage. And they said, hey, we have this monogram press. Is there any place for me to do something on a panel with it? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, you gotta show me
but
what
we
it
can
is.
always find a place.
And I go through and they go through and they show me, and I was like, well, it looks really cool. And then they said I can pick up a demo, try it out. And I tried one and I was like, well, this is awesome. And so I immediately said, I was
There
like,
you
well,
go.
I'm having Dan come on the show here shortly. Let's show him out with the hospitality. So once everything falls, it's done.
Yeah, once
So
you
take your ice pick,
Okay.
go
Pull the
through
top.
and pull the top up.
I'm excited.
And it's the reveal.
Oh my
Look at this
God.
thing.
And then what you do is just go through and kind of grab it with the tongs.
Oh,
Oh
man.
my
And then
God.
I'll take that to let you put it right back in.
Yeah, show that off there a little bit.
Show that off to the
Oh,
cameras a
look
little
at how beautiful that is.
Look
at
at
that.
that. That is actually awesome.
Is that not
That is
pretty
genuinely
cool?
awesome.
Super
That is
freaking cool.
gorgeous.
So then you go through, and then we'll just let you pour some whiskey over top.
Oh,
now, why do we
man.
want to use ice balls a little bit? Is it less surface area.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it goes through, and for a lot of people who like their bourbon neat or anything like that, you go through and look how gorgeous. Like,
Here we go. You ready for this?
yeah.
Melt slower.
Yeah, I love the large cube because you can you have more control on your dilution.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it dilutes just slowly over time.
That is
That's beautiful, man.
gorgeous.
Is that not amazing?
I honestly love
Here's
that.
the other. Here's the
I'm
other thing.
excited.
Here's the other cool. I did too. As soon as I saw it, and I said, I will easily put this on my show, no problem. You know what else you can do? As you guys know, you can get like some ice stamps or anything like that.
Oh
Go
yeah.
through and get the Bardstown
Yeah,
Bourbon
sure,
Company.
you
Leave it
go.
on there for a minute. Boom, Bardstown Bourbon Company logo right inside your spear ice cube.
Oh,
And
gorgeous.
you serve
This
this.
is a beautiful
And think
piece
about
of
it.
ice.
If you're at the bar, like you got your bartender working, they can go ahead and start that in 60 seconds. They go ahead and put together that barrel aged old fashioned or anything. What they're going to do,
Yeah.
pop that in
Pop
there,
that in.
pour it
You're
over,
done.
and you're done,
Bazinga.
and you have a beautiful ice cube to show off.
I mean, that is.
You look good
incredible.
over there with your
It is-
spherical ice cube.
Yeah,
too.
this is.
It's so cool.
It's crazy too. That quickly, it puts a nice chill on it, opens it up, but it's not watering it down in
See?
a
No.
crazy way. It's just really controlling it.
Beautiful.
So over the course of 30 minutes, you can, you know,
Yeah.
still sip it and
So what
enjoy
do you
it.
think about that forge, man?
I'm sold.
There you go.
it's so cool.
Thank you,
That-
GE, for sending us this.
No,
and letting
thank
us
you,
check that
GE,
out.
so much. And you know what? You're going to be at
Bourbon and Beyond.
Bourbon and Beyond
Saturday.
That's right. You're
Saturday.
doing. This is a cool one. You're doing your own panel.
Yep.
And
So,
what is it called?
so
Because I know
it's-
we changed the name over
Yeah,
from
this
last year
one
to
is-
this year.
Art of blending, and what it does, it deconstructs a discovery, just like this number 8. But what I've done is figured out household ingredients or things. You know, I always smell leather because I grew up playing baseball,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's stuff everything from ginger to cocoa to Pop Rocks. The only whiskey
Nice.
tasting I've ever seen to use Pop Rocks. and you go through the different elements, differentiate all the whiskeys from their differences, and then see how it all comes together.
Nice.
So
That's awesome. Well, this is going to be there.
Okay.
So if you actually want to use
That's
it
right.
on your panel and you want to like pour your own, I will pull one out on your
get
table.
it done,
and you can just
baby.
mess
Let's
with
do
one.
it. I think it.
They will be there on all stages, and they will be on any panel we want. And the cubes will already be pre-made, so you just do your own thing.
I will
up there
find a
with
way to work this one in. This
Then
is
all
good.
right, we're gonna have GE Monogram on Dan Callaway's panel. That'll just be fun. Thanks
Awesome.
for letting us try this out
I
with you
love
for
it.
the first
No,
time and
thank
like
you.
messing
That's
around
great.
with it.
It is gorgeous.
So Dan, just to kind of finish us off a little bit, we're gonna have a little bit of a pour, but then I also want you to have your own little chance to kind of pick a pour. So tell us a little bit about what you brought us.
Yeah. So
And then we'll go right into tasting that, and then you get your own thing.
love it. I brought you something special.
Good.
No one outside of the distillery has tried this yet. I pulled it right
So you're
from
not
the
going to
tank.
lose your job.
No, this is before it went into bottling. This is our newest collaboration. This is with Goose Island, who was really the trailblazer for craft brewing.
Yeah, I've
going back
loved
to
Goose
late
Island.
80s,
That's right.
early 90s.
Yep.
And they've just done such an incredible job with their Bourbon County Stout. You're probably familiar with some of the bourbon releases.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do something unique, special, different. So crafted kind of a malt-forward bourbon.
Oh, okay.
And what we do at Bardstown that's different than everyone else is we don't rinse the barrels. Everyone else that ships barrels, whether it's wine or beer, traditionally you rinse them so that there's no spoilage in the beer. What we set up is a system where they empty in the morning, Goose Island, Chicago. They leave a residual, about a gallon of liquid in the bottom and in the wood. Do not rinse them. They wrap them. We hired a refrigerated truck, and it drives straight through, like Smokey and the Bandit, just straight across down to Bardstown, and then we fill it that day. So the beer or the wine, in this case the beer, doesn't spoil.
Oh, cool.
So
Wow.
the stout notes are pronounced. So you're going to get honey.
Awesome.
You're going to get malt.
Yeah.
And it's really going to interact in a cool way.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
That's badass, dude.
this is out soon. The interesting part when you do it that way too, this is cast strength, but it's 100 proof because there was that much stout
oh,
in there.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's diluted with stout
Interesting.
instead of water. And so you're 100 proof, but you're still
I'm
rich
excited,
and
man.
viscous, right?
So I'm also excited just as you saw the monogram go down.
Yeah.
We were talking about that high school algebra earlier. That had been a hard thing to figure out.
So yeah, here you go. This is our Goose Island Bourbon County Stout collaboration here.
Dan, thank you, buddy.
So yeah, you're gonna get honey and malt
Cheers.
right on the nose.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You can already
cheers.
smell it, yeah.
Oh yeah, you can.
Wow.
And then you're gonna get that slight bitterness of chocolate on the palate, but just honey,
Absolutely.
rich, fat, and delicious.
It tastes like you can get the stout
Yeah.
in there from a good stout beer.
Exactly.
Absolutely, you get the stout. In
Yeah.
there.
It's present, right?
Now, here's a cool thing, too. What our listeners don't know, if you are, as you are listening, if you go to Bourbon and Beyond, we have a panel, and I'm sorry, I wish I had the thing up, but we have a panel called our Influencer Panel where one of your people, Brandon,
The Daily Dram.
the Daily Dram, is going to be there, and he is going to taste this.
Oh,
with
that's
the
awesome.
audience.
That's
So
awesome.
he is bringing this special with the audience, and this would have only been out for, what,
A day, basically.
a day. So the audience at Bourbon and Beyond will be the first people, some of the first people to taste this outside of us, clearly,
That's
because we're
impressive.
special.
Yeah.
But the outside, like they're going to be the first people to taste this. It's gonna be pretty cool.
I love it. And this, it's just cool to explore flavor in this way, and in certainly not a traditional bourbon, but
No.
just a way to find those stout notes.
But this
that
is
I
the
love.
fun thing that has been happening a lot is this blending and this kind of like, all right, you like this world of drinking, well, try this world with it with a little bit of flavor from there, and that's pretty cool. I'm a big stout guy, always was, right?
Yeah.
Big beer, like I've always been more into beer than bourbon as I was coming up, and so this is a lot of fun to try.
So yeah, end of the month we'll do events at Goose Island and in Bardstown where we bring their team down and
Oh, is
us
that
up.
right?
And to have the stout, then have this it really
Hell
connects
yeah,
the
dude.
whole
That's
thing.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Man, the chocolate notes.
It's heavy chocolate, right? I
Heavy
love that.
chocolate,
Man.
heavy honey, heavy
Yeah.
malt.
I mean, it's almost like a little dessert whiskey.
It is,
100
yeah.
proof, you know?
I love it. And yeah, 100
But not like
proof.
overly sweet. at
No.
all. It's
And
just
usually you think dessert whiskey, you're thinking a little bit lower proof, a little bit sweeter, maybe a little bit
No,
more
exactly.
higher
But
wheat.
it has that, like, same as you would with a stout, little bitterness or
Right.
a piece of dark chocolate, right?
Yep.
That little bitterness at the end, which
That's right.
I
Gosh,
like.
that dark chocolate. It smells like a dark chocolate stout.
Yeah.
Like it's like a dark chocolate stout with
gets
like
me
some
excited.
honey that sits on top of it or something.
Crushed
like,
it.
To like,
Come
oh,
on.
yeah,
Back to
crushed it. Crushable. All right, so we got to finish this one real fast because we have to get to two of our important parts of our whole entire show.
That's right.
First off, Dan gets to pick a pour.
Okay.
Anything on the whole entire bar. It doesn't matter what it is.
Okay. I'm going to do something that's, I'm going to crack one that's unopened. I see it there, signed by Master Distiller Steve Nally, Copper and Kings.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's do it.
That's the apple brandy there.
Let's do it.
That thing is, I would put it as one of my favorite bourbons ever made. So, yeah.
There we go.
So this is beautiful. Believe at the time it would have been around 11, 12-year bourbon that went into it, but finished in Copper and Kings apple brandy. If you don't know Copper and Kings, you know, basically American brandy. These are apple brandy barrels from them. If you've tried the Flood Wall, then you've tried their apple brandy.
We had Brandon O'Daniel on here a few episodes ago.
Well, he would have been a huge part of this one.
You guys better be listening.
And 18-month finish, so a long finish, but just a really nice pairing. So this goes back to the early days, but just to me a fantastic, unique pour. And my memory is not good enough to remember the proof, but I'm guessing it's in the high teens of the hundreds. But
120.4.
Oh,
120.4. There you
look
go.
at that. All right.
Awesome.
Bam. Oh, look at that. It's also signed by Brandon as well.
Oh man,
I
you
didn't even,
opened it.
man, should have told him that while he was here.
Awesome.
Look what we got.
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Enjoy it,
Cheers.
guys. This was a
Holy
nice one.
God, man.
Yeah.
Like you can immediately, you can get the brandy off of that.
It's just nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon's got a special announcement he's going to do. at
That's
Bourbon
true.
Beyond.
Yeah, he does.
Good
All right,
guy.
so to always finish our show, we always have a fun game of some type.
Yeah.
We have absolutely no idea what we do or why we do it, but we do. And,
Okay.
so we try to put together a game for you. We're going to see how it works. Sometimes he can crash and burn really fast. We'll find out quickly.
I'm ready.
Brian, pitch it. What's the game, buddy?
All right, buddy. Here we go.
Okay.
You grew up in music,
Yep.
playing in an orchestra. You
Yep.
played French horn.
Yep.
Then you went into sommelier. You do some whiskey blending.
Yep.
So here's what we want to do.
Okay.
I want you to tell me, like, what spirit or wine would represent different sections of the orchestra.
Okay. That's a great game. Okay. This is good. It's a good premise. You did well.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I'm going to start off easy. Tell me the French horn.
Okay. So the French horn is a blend because the French horn is a brass instrument, but it also has to play with the woodwinds, has to play with the strings. It's the connector in the middle.
Ooh,
So to
I
me,
like
the
it.
French horn is a blend. It's taking all the different elements and it gets along with every single section.
Okay.
So I would call it the Discovery Series. It's
Look at
also the
this.
best
All
instrument,
right, there
so
we
it's
go.
premium.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's really the role of the French horn is the connector.
All right. So
Okay.
you're a French horn player, and there you go. You
Then
knocked that
Discovery,
one out.
yeah.
Just to
Okay.
interrupt real fast, this is awesome. I don't know.
really is.
It must have just waited for this moment to open it.
Yeah, this is. I'm telling you, it's one of the
I'm
best,
glad,
best
I'm
whiskeys
glad
ever
we
made.
waited.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, what's the next one?
How about violins?
Depends if you're sitting. Okay, so there's a violin is a section. There's a section. You got about 20 people. So the front is very showy, very forward, and
Okay.
the back are probably they're tenure positions, so you're probably close to retirement. So very
They
relaxed.
move them back. It's
So
like,
the
"Let's
front-
get you out.
The front is more of a peacock.
Okay.
So beautiful packaging.
I'm with it.
I'm trying to be very political. On who's
I'm picking up on that.
beautiful packaging. Think about that, right? Very showy, and the back would be more of of your mainstay.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Maybe like your Wild Turkey 101.
Ooh.
It's just there.
Yeah.
And you're dependable. And the front, something maybe a Blue Run single barrel.
Okay.
Oh, I
Okay.
like
just,
it.
in some
That's
beautiful new-
flashy. It's a beautiful pick. What a good one.
Look at this guy. Give me cellos.
Cellos are deep, resonant, and aged, right?
That's
right. I'm going wine. I'm going old world Burgundy. Or no, you know what? I'll go Bordeaux. I'll go like
Ooh, a little mineral.
I'll do like Premier. I'll do like Mouton Rothschild. Beautiful, different design, but oak aged, beautiful Bordeaux.
Dig
With the
it.
cello, just resonant flavor.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Let's go a little deeper and go double bass.
Double bass is just all oak, right? So let's call it Heaven Hill 27.
Yeah.
A beautiful and
Beautiful. It's fully oaked.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, and fun fact: Connor O'Driscoll lives in my wife's childhood home. So
Really?
that's how close
Really?
we are. Yeah.
Holy crap.
So it's a small world, but yeah,
That is.
Small Kentucky.
beautiful whiskey with a great oak depth.
Give me tubas. That was a weird
Tubas,
sentence.
So in an orchestra, tubas don't typically play the whole concert, right? So
Okay.
they usually play like the last movement of the last piece, and they've probably been to the bar in intermission.
So it's the Everclear of the orchestra.
But just someone everyone gets along with,
Okay.
Maybe a birthday bourbon.
Oh, that's
right.
great. That's
Just
a great
comes
one.
every now and then.
Birthday bourbon.
Only
but-
comes every now and
but
then. You know
everyone
it's going to
likes
be
it.
there.
It's going to be there when the time's right.
You know the time period is showing up. That was a great one.
Okay, good.
All right, we're getting into some fun now. Give me flutes.
You know what's so funny?
Tell me.
My dad, also a musician, was deep into prog rock. And
Really?
it was my birthday yesterday, and he called me, so I talked to my dad for the first time in a while, which was great. We have a great relationship. But he was a huge fan of Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
Hell
which if
yeah,
you know
man.
prog rock,
Absolutely, we know
think
Jethro
about
Tull.
you think about the flute. So that's what I think about now, which isn't a traditional
Miller
flute.
Lite.
That's where he came. The flute is the Miller Lite of the
I
orchestra.
don't know, light, right? Like maybe something light and floral and delicious. I would say it's okay because of Jethro Tull and the complexity. If I wasn't thinking of that, I would just go light floral, throw it away.
Yeah.
But I'm saying complex, and the flute has all these interesting notes. I'm gonna go our 6-year Origin Rye, finished in cherry wood barrels.
Look
Ooh,
at this.
So it's
so you
like-
got a little bit of sweetness on the top.
Yeah, but there's complexity all around.
All right.
It. Yeah,
Dig
good.
I like that.
So go back a section, go to clarinets.
Woody, rich, not as woody as bassoon, but nice depth. I love the clarinet. If you want to hear the best, Pines of Rome, Respighi, third movement, best clarinet solo.
Sweet.
If you want to look that one up. Pines of Rome is
Absolutely, we
famous for, what's the Disney one where they did all the pieces and the whales are jumping out?
Oh,
It's
Fantasia.
Fantasia.
Fantasia, right.
So that's famous. Pines of Rome is
Okay.
is
Oh,
there.
okay.
That's where the whale's the fourth movement, but they do a little bit of the third movement, which is if you want to hear a clarinet in action. And I just go Four Roses, maybe. I'm looking at it.
There you
yeah.
go.
It's like the end of what's the Kevin Spacey movie where Kaiser Soze and they're just looking at bottles to get the whole story or pictures. To
Yes.
get the Usual Suspects.
Yes.
Yes, usual suspects. That's it.
I was just looking at the Four Roses, so I said Four Roses.
Give me trumpets.
Abrasive leader, gonna kind of carry it when they want to make a statement. It's there. Maybe Woodford Reserve because the Derby, right? You
right.
got the
Good.
kickoff.
And they come out when when they really need it, and bam, big
like
in your
that.
face.
Trumpet, just
like
because the
that.
Derby.
Violas.
Viola is the unsung hero of the orchestra. Viola's
Really?
traditionally, no one's traditionally growing up to be a violist, right? It's
Okay.
the violin player, and then some sort of turn happened. They switched to viola. It's basically a larger violin. They
Yeah.
don't get a lot of solos. They're rarely acknowledged, but they add so much to the flavor. Maybe Old Granddad.
Yes.
I like
Old
that.
granddad, for sure.
I like that because you got like old Granddad 114 or so.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
come
delicious,
up, and
but-
every now and then it's just
Good.
like, bam, I'm here.
but never the hero.
Yeah.
Never the hero. That's a good one.
Now, this one's funny because this one always cracks me up because the way they have to play this, the oboe.
Oboe, a lot of pressure, a lot of head pressure.
That's right.
Oboe's 2 reeds. Thing they don't. There's double reed instruments. Oboe and bassoon. They both use 2 reeds, and what they have to do is sit at home. They're the only ones that have to make their own reeds.
Oh my God!
So everyone else is out at the the event. They're sitting at home scraping wood, and they actually make all their own reeds for hours.
This makes me feel like a champagne.
Champagne would be really good.
Like just a champagne, like
Something very heady, something with knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So something esoteric, maybe a grower champagne. So not like a Dom Perignon, but more like Guimanet, some sort of grower champagne.
All right.
Yeah.
I like
There's
that.
still a little classiness to it, but they have to do everything on their own. They have to be stored by themselves to the side. Like
I think that's exactly
their own
right.
special thing.
Okay.
All right. So you mentioned these guys a second ago. Bassoons.
Bassoon. I always think Peter and the Wolf when I hear bassoon.
Oh, really?
Do-do, ba-boom. It's the Peter and the Wolf for the bassoon will get you the best feature. Just woody. What's the woodiest whiskey out there?
Elijah Craig 23.
Okay, Elijah Craig 23 is the bassoon,
That's
right?
That's a woody whiskey.
Wow.
I love it.
Now we've almost wrapped this up. Give
Love
me
it.
some trombones.
Yeah, I love the trombone.
I do too.
Oh, me too.
Living in New Orleans, such an affinity
Yes.
for the trombone.
Man.
Something cool. Not that someone in high school plays the trombone is cool because that's not the stereotype.
That's
but
right.
like when you do it right, to me, it's just so. It's the closest to a voice because you can just manipulate it in so many ways, and the
way it
slides and the
slides, yeah.
nuance. I would just think something beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead and say the apple brandy Bardstown Bourbon
Look at
Company
this
collaboration.
guy.
It's just purely beautiful.
because it is
This
beautiful.
really is. This is a beautiful whiskey, man.
All right. Percussion.
Annoying.
He says this as a French horn player.
The fireball.
That's amazing.
Why do you keep beating on the damn thing?
Will you stop it? Nobody likes you, but everybody says that they do.
Yeah, I'll stick
good.
with that.
I love the
Fireball. All right. So we got one guy up in the front. Who's the conductor?
Who's leading this whole charge of
That's
whiskey and wine?
That's Mark Irwin, man. that's Mark Irwin.
See, that's perfect.
Someone's got to lead it all.
There you
Mark,
go.
Dan needs a raise.
He just called you the conductor of this entire orchestra. Come on.
He just literally said you lead it all, my man. Dan, what did you think about our game?
I loved it. Honestly, I loved it. It made
That's
me
fun.
genuinely happy.
Thank
It was funny, and I actually had not thought about that, and it's funny.
I said we don't ever know what we put together. When we put it together, we think it sounds like a great
Sure,
idea,
yeah.
but it could go downhill.
But it is supposed to take it by surprise. And
Tomorrow in the shower, you think, I should have said this.
Damn it.
Oboes.
I forgot that wine that I wrote all those note cards about.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, thank you so much for coming and spending your Friday evening with us and just kind of relaxing, checking out the Monogram Forge, which is, might be your new best friend.
It is, and this is what bourbon and whiskey's all about.
That's
to me.
right.
Hanging out, enjoying it. And anyone listening, please come see us. Bardstown Bourbon Company, bourbon capital of the world in Bardstown, Green River Distillery,
yes.
Owensboro, Kentucky, and our soon-to-open Louisville home place right on Main Street.
When do we think that's going to open?
October 26th.
All right.
Heyo,
It's October 26th.
just around the corner.
Just around the corner to go out and check this beautiful place out. I can't wait to see that place.
It's
It
gorgeous.
looks gorgeous
It
from
is.
everything I've seen. Dan, thank you so much for coming on. This was fun.
This was
This
great.
was a fun show, and it's a Friday too, man.
Yeah,
It's
let's
even
do it.
better.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Dan, do you have some social media links or anything you could share with us?
Sure.
Or-
At Danny Bardstown and then at Bardstown Bourbon Co.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Let's do it, man.
Thank you to GE for sending this forge here and letting us check that out. Thanks to Dan for coming by and telling us all about Bardstown Bourbon Company. And thanks to the listeners for tuning in. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@FirkinPodcast. Any questions or comments can be sent to mailbag@FirkinPodcast.com. Visit our Patreon to become a Firker at patreon.com/FirkinPodcast. Subscribe and rate us on your podcast platform of choice, and make sure to share it with a friend. And until next time, let's raise a glass to the stories behind the drinks. Cheers!
Cheers, my man. See why he does the ending.
Yeah, it's
All
good.
right.
It's good.